Hello everyone, it's Victor speaking from Astrology.com, and today I wanted to talk about a very important topic in relationship, and that is sex. But before we start, I just wanted to let you know guys that this video is aimed at people above age of 18, and if you still wish to listen to this, please bear in mind how important protection is. So to start with, I just want to tell you that I believe that 50% of the marriages after few years are doomed, especially in the last few decades. And the reason being is because media is putting so much emphasis on how we look and the importance of money. What I have realized reading so many charts is that men are so concerned about their size of their male energy, and women want to look perfect all the time, and no wonder plastic surgery is just thriving. I am sure some of you are more sex orientated than others, and actually this can be seen very well from your birth chart as well. So today I want to show you some techniques how to see whether you are compatible sexually with your partner, and in the end I also want to show you what type of dark desires or fetishes you might have. And if you want to learn more about it, then you might want to consider signing up onto my upcoming webinar about sex on the 13th of July, and the webinar's title is Astro-glide into a better sex life. So I put the link below, but just to cover some of the topics I will speak about on the webinar is gonna be the difference between the 5th and the 8th house, or what lover are you and what lover you need, or how important sex is for you. I'm gonna even teach you some planetary sexual combinations as well, which can be talking about your sex drives and how to please your partner. Also some sexual blockages and how to overcome those, some sexual illnesses, sexual identity, and so on. So just have a look at the link below, and then you will be able to see the full topic of that webinar. So plenty of people think that one of the most sexual sign in astrology is Scorpio, which is true. However, I also consider Gemini being very sexual as well. And if you just think about it, if you just think about the symbol, what Gemini has, you can see two bodies merging, and you can't really decide the gender. And also Gemini is the sign of curiosity as well. So when it comes to sexuality, they are the most curious ones, and they might not know limits much. But obviously you can comment below and then you can tell me, but obviously I'm not talking about the sun sign here. I'm talking about more to do with a prominent Mercury or a stellium going on within Gemini, but we're going to have a look at some of those. Sun, of course, plays a big part, as well as Moon and Venus, but one of the most important planets we're going to have to look at is Mars, because Mars rules desire, passion, and Mars shows how we want to express ourselves physically. Okay, Mars is the most at home in the fire signs, and fire signs talk about vitality and passion and desire, and that's one of the reasons why Mars loves being in the element of fire. It makes them driven, and they always want the spark in their relationship as well. And because they want things to happen very quickly, their passion actually can turn into anger as well. Very quickly. So what I usually recommend here is that the interest and the curiosity and that passion needs to be kept alive all the time in order for that spark to, to flame. Mars does quite well in earth signs as well. Earth signs are all about sensuality, and it rules the 5 senses as well. Therefore, having Mars in earth signs can indicate that the native loves foreplay. and it can be extremely important for them. Because earth signs tends to be a little bit stubborn, so they might not be experimental, they might like routine stuff. Just think of Virgo, for instance. And earth signs are also about slow movement and slow process. So they might be slow lovemakers, which is truly great at the beginning because it's all about passion. However, if, for instance, the Earth Mars is with someone who has got Mars in the sign of Aries or in a fire element, then it can become a little bit too repetitive or boring. So that could be one of the downfall of having Mars in an earth sign. Mars in air signs are extremely curious, especially when we talk about the sign of Gemini, but they definitely need to be stimulated pretty much in an intellectual way. And therefore for them the role play can be extremely triggering. The reason why I'm giggling is because one of my friends came to my mind, and she has got Mars and Pluto conjunction in the sign of Gemini. And what they do with her husband is that they have got this weekly dress up love-making event happening. And she sometimes dresses up as a nurse, sometimes she dresses up as a prostitute, and that's how they trigger each other's fantasy. And actually this lady always asks the husband to buy her a new handbag for these services. So it's very funny, but then again, their fantasy in an intellectual way needs to be triggered. Mars in water signs are more to do with quality over quantity. They tend to be very nurturing and caring. Water signs are all about romanticism. So they can be actually sexually very overcharged. But what I have seen is that they usually fantasize about it and not much action going on. And I have also noticed that masturbation is extremely important for them, rather than the actual physical contact. There are plenty of planetary combinations as well, which can make you very sexual. So you have to have a look at the following planets: Mars and Venus, Pluto and the North Node as well. North Node because this is what you have to learn in this lifetime. And therefore, sometimes it presents itself as a desire. A very prominent North Node in the chart actually can, can make you very sexually driven as well. Especially if it's in the 8th house or in the 1st house. Mars, we covered that. That's all about how you want to express yourself physically. Venus is the planet of sensuality. So basically that talks about how you want to be touched, how you want to be, in a way, nurtured. And Venus is a very physically stimulated planet as well, because obviously it rules Taurus, and Taurus is an earth sign. Okay, and Pluto in modern astrology rules sex, which we're gonna talk about it in a while. So as I said, it's always good to consider Venus, because Venus in a male chart shows what attracts them and what type of people they are attracted to. While in a female chart, it shows the way they present themselves to be attracted to, or to be attractive. And we can say actually that the Venus helps Mars to bring his desire come through by attraction. If these two planets clashes in your synastry chart, then it could show that eventually this might be an issue with your partner. So it's good to recognize at the beginning. I'm sure you have also noticed that some people are more magnetic towards the opposite sex, than others, even on their worst day as well. And that could be coming from the fact that one of these planets I mentioned above is in an angular house. In my opinion, one of the most important one is when either Mars, Venus, Pluto, or the North Node is around the rising sign or the midheaven. Some other people say that IC and the descendant count as well. Um, Sorry. Also, when these planets are in planetary combination with each other, so Venus and Mars can be extremely sexual and sensual, but even the opposition in the square as well. Um, Also, when let's say North Node in conjunction with Venus or Mars can make you extremely uh, sexual, or one of these planets in conjunction with your rising sign as well, because let's not forget rising sign talks about the way you present yourself to the world. Okay, and actually that rising sign can even tell you how you can look more sexually magnetic to the opposite sex. So I'll give you an example. If Mars rules your rising sign, then it could indicate that you should be wearing more red lipstick or red, orange, pink colored clothes. Another example is that Venus loves fine things. So for them to seduce someone, maybe we're talking about silky, beautiful underwear garments, and so on. So we're gonna cover these planetary combinations in the webinar anyway. Um, Also, the reason why I mentioned that a conjunction to midheaven can be extremely strong as well, because midheaven is something to do with the people, the people see you. Okay, that's a very public house. That's the most public house. And for instance, having Rahu there or North Node there can make you look very, very sensual to other people. When it comes to the houses, well, that's quite an interesting one, because about 1,000 years ago, sex was only ruled by the fifth house. Sorry, guys. And the reason being is because fifth house rules children. And obviously children were the result of a sexual intercourse, right? And fifth house also rules the risks as well, and gambling, and birth control back in the days were not really existing. So having a sexual course or intercourse was actually a risk for those people. And not to forget, the fifth house also rules fun as well. And nothing more fun is actually than having sex for plenty of people. And then at some point in astrology, someone started to mention that eighth house also rules sex as well. And by the way, it all started with Sigmund Freud, as he mentioned that every single time you have sexual intercourse, you have to be able to trust the others and give something up within you as well to make both of you happy. And that's how he related sex and death. And we know that eighth house rules death. So my personal intake on this is that, you know, if you talk about relationships, seventh house rules marriage, and fifth house rules boyfriends, girlfriends. I think I need a sip of water, sorry. And this is exactly the same with the sexual houses as well. Fifth house is more to do with the initial contact you are having with your future partner, and eighth house is more to do with the sexual desire you are experiencing with your marriage partner. There are plenty of asteroids in the chart which could talk about your sexual desire too. which I will cover in the webinar. And one of them can be very prominent, and it's called the Black Moon Lilith. And Black Moon Lilith is a geometric point in the sky that marks the furthest point of the moon's orbit around the Earth. And she is most commonly depicted as a long-haired demon who is seducing people and visits men in the middle of the night to feed off their sexual arousal. So I just want to cover very quickly what Black Moon Lilith means in each sign. So Black Moon Lilith in the sign of Aries can be talking about the fact that she wants it now or never, and they really have to learn to harness their sexual desire and control those extreme needs they have. The positive trait is that they can be truly great leaders. Having her in the sign of Taurus makes the person irresistible. They love fine things in life, and sometimes they can go over top as well with it. And they tend to do plenty of sensual stuff to make each other happy. What they have to learn is how to manage their sensuality and not trying to possess the other. So not looking at them like an object. When it's well aspected, they can be extremely charming, and their eyes can really talk a lot. Having her in the sign of Gemini, well, if it's negatively aspected, it can indicate that they are never satisfied. Gemini is all about curiosity, so they want to try new things, and therefore they might want to change partners all the time. One of the things they have to learn is how to stay away from gossips. Having her in the sign of Cancer, or you can even use the houses as well, so having her in the 4th house, well, it makes them like an intuitive siren in the bedroom. But what could happen here is that they tend to manipulate others as well. And the reason being is because they might be suffering from kind of an anxiety of being alone when they are old. They've got this fear going on within themselves, and therefore their karmic task is to learn how to stay independent. Having her in the sign of Leo, well, Leo loves a mirror. Okay, so they might want to see themselves in the mirror while having sex. Leo is famous for being very proud, and this can be her biggest enemy actually, because they become a little bit of an attention seeker. And what they have to learn is how to tame their ego. Talking about Virgo, having Lilith here can be talking about how obsessively perfectionists they are. Okay, they might become a sexual servant in the bedroom, and they enjoy in degrading sex as well. And it is coming from a sexual shame or anger, most probably. They have to learn how to face their inner fear and come through their guilty consciousness. What they are really good at is that they are very good at penetrating into their partner's mind, reading their mind so they know what they exactly want. Having her in the sign of Libra, well, it's Venus rule, so it's like Lilith being the sister of Venus, okay? It makes them truly irresistible. They might have the tendency for fighting for other people's equality, okay, and they might suffer actually injustice during their life. What they have to learn is how to accept other people the way they are. Scorpio, well, she is incredibly seductive here. It's like having a sexual partner for them is like having chasing a prey. and therefore once they are having the sexual intercourse with the prey, it can be extremely erotic for them. Okay, but it can also make the native extremely jealous, and therefore what they have to learn is how to trust other people. When we talk about Sagittarius, well, Sagittarius is all about access. So she's easily aroused, especially when she's traveling. Okay, and what they have to learn is how to have a faith in other people as well as in themselves. What they are good at is that they can be extremely inspiring to other people. When it's in Capricorn, well, Lilith can be quite ruthless here, to be honest. Because what happens is if her hopes and desires are not met, she can be very icy, ice cold. And what they also might do is that they mix business and pleasure with each other. And therefore the career can be connected somehow to sex as well. So what they need to learn is how to have that fine line between their emotions and ambitions. But their best is that they've got extremely good endurance. So you can't really knock them down. Aquarius, well, Aquarius is a rebellious sign. So definitely Leaf wants someone unique here, someone completely different from the rest, and they have to learn how to be more empathetic towards others. What they are good at is that they are good at starting a new revolution easily, and in many cases they are admired by other people as well. And last but not least, Pisces. Well, Lilith here prefers fantasy over reality, and they might become a little bit submissive in the bedroom. Okay, what they need to learn is how to draw a line between fantasy and reality. But they can be extremely intuitive as well, so if they manage to bring that up within their life, that could be extremely good for them. So guys, thank you very much for having me. I hope you enjoy this. So if you want to learn more about it, then the link is below. Or if you want to have a reading with me, I've got a special offer running of a 6 to 8 pages of a financial report for 199 instead of 299. It takes me a good 3-4 hours actually to write it up and have a look. So it's quite a big job, but very rewarding. Thank you guys and have a lovely day. Bye bye.